The drill had been running for 3 weeks straight. Deep inside the asteroid, the small team of humans worked day and night. They were looking for old things, old technology, old secrets. The galaxy was full of them, buried in rocks floating through space. Wiped sweat from his face and looked at his tablet. He was a language expert. His job was to read things that no one else could read, old symbols, dead languages. He had spent his whole life studying them. "How much deeper?" asked Park. She was the team leader, a strong woman with short black hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Another 100 meters," said the drill operator. "Then we hit something solid." They all felt it when the drill stopped, not because it broke, because it hit something that would not break. The team gathered around the hole they had made was the first to go down. He put on his helmet and lowered himself into the darkness. His light cut through the black like a knife. What he found made him stop breathing. It was a door, but not like any door he had ever seen. It was made of something strange, not metal, not stone, something else, something that seemed to move when he was not looking directly at it. Symbols covered the door from top to bottom. They spiraled around each other in patterns that hurt his eyes. When he tried to follow them, they seemed to change. He said into his radio, "You need to see this." The whole team came down. They stood in the small cave they had made, staring at the door that should not exist. "What is it?" asked Young. He was the member of the team, just 23 years old and always asking questions. "A vault," said. His voice was quiet. "Something very old is behind this door." Ran her scanner over the surface. Her face went pale. "The dating is wrong," she said. "It has to be wrong." "What does it say?" asked. "Billions of years." She shook her head. "That is older than our sun, older than most stars. This thing was made before the galaxy looked the way it does now." Was not listening. He was looking at the symbols. After 30 years of studying dead languages, something in his brain was starting to connect the patterns. He could not read them, not exactly, but he could feel what they meant. "The Galactic Council told us not to dig too deep," said. "They said there are things buried in space that should stay buried." "The Galactic Council says many things," replied. He reached out and touched the door. The moment his fingers made contact, everything changed. The symbols began to glow, soft at first, then brighter. The light was not white or blue or any normal color. It was a color that had no name for, a color that should not exist. And then the voice came. It did not come through the air. It appeared directly in his mind, old and vast and patient, like a mountain that had been waiting forever. "Successor species, Diatiacetidae." Stumbled back. The others were shouting at him, but he could not hear them. The voice filled his entire head. "Genetic markers compatible, neural architecture acceptable." "What is happening?" he whispered. "Do you wish to inherit?" The question hung in his mind like a star hanging in space. He could feel something behind the door, something impossibly old, something that had been sleeping since before the first human stood up and looked at the sky. Grabbed his shoulder. "Talk to me. What is happening to you?" He looked at her. His eyes were wide and strange. "It is asking me a question," he said. "What question?" Turned back to the door. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. Every careful thought in his head told him to say no, to walk away, to seal this place and never come back. But he was human. And humans, when they stand before the unknown, when they face something bigger than themselves, when the universe asks them a question that no one has ever been asked before, humans have a very special habit. They say yes. "Yes," said. For one moment, nothing happened. Then the door opened. Light poured out, not the strange colored light from before. This was pure white, so bright that everyone had to cover their eyes. Wind that should not exist in space rushed past them. And somewhere, in a place that was not really a place, eyes that had been closed for 12 billion years opened. fell to his knees. Images flooded his mind. Dragons made of, wars fought across galaxies, creatures of darkness that ate reality itself, and a promise made long ago that one day a new species would come, a species brave enough or foolish enough to say yes. The ground shook, not just in the asteroid. Across the galaxy, in 1,000 different places, ancient machines that had been sleeping for billions of years began to wake up. On the Galactic Council's main ship, alarms started screaming. On 100 different worlds, aliens looked up at the sky with fear in their eyes. And in a small hole inside a forgotten asteroid, a human man lay on the ground, tears running down his face, as the universe changed forever around him. He had said yes, and nothing would ever be the same again. Had been a galactic ambassador for 15 years, she had seen many strange things. She had talked with aliens who had no mouths. She had visited planets made of crystal. She had watched stars die and be reborn. But she had never seen the High Council so afraid. The meeting room was full of panic. Screens showed readings that made no sense, energy levels that should not be possible, signals coming from places that had been silent for billions of years. "What is happening?" demanded High, a being made of living crystal. His body flickered with fear. "These readings match the Forbidden Archives." Felt her stomach drop. The Forbidden Archives were the most secret files in the galaxy. They contained records of only one thing: the Dragon Wars. Every child in the galaxy knew the story. Long ago, before any of the current species existed, there were the dragons, beings of pure power who had built the first galaxies. They had fought a terrible war against creatures called the Devourers, things that came from outside the universe, things that ate reality itself. The dragons had won, but the cost was too high. They had sealed themselves away, sleeping in hidden places, waiting for the universe to heal. "Someone has woken them up," whispered. But who's crystal body rang with anger. Who would be foolish enough to? He stopped. He looked at the screens. He looked at the location where the energy was coming from. "Humans," he said. The word was filled with disgust. Of course it was humans. Far away, in a place that was not really a place, floated in darkness. He was not alone. Shapes moved around him, huge shapes. He could see eyes opening in the dark, hundreds of them, thousands, each one burning with light older than the oldest stars. "Where am I?" His voice was tiny, like a mouse speaking to mountains. A successor, SBAKS, the word of acceptance. The voice was everywhere. It was in his mind, in his bones, in the empty space between atoms. After 12 billion years, the covenant is fulfilled. "I do not understand," said. One of the shapes came closer. As it moved, saw what it was. His mind almost broke trying to understand it. It was a dragon. Not like the dragons in old Earth stories. This was something else. Its body was made of fire pressed so tight it became solid. Its scales were pieces of space and time, folded into shapes that hurt to look at. Its wings spread out into directions that should not exist. And yet, when it looked at him, saw something gentle in its burning eyes. "We are the Shapers," the dragon said. "We built the first Galaxies. We put life on 1,000,000 worlds. We watched species rise and fall 4 billion of years." Images filled his mind. He saw the universe being born. He saw the dragons reaching out with claws of pure energy, shaping stars, building worlds, creating the conditions for life to begin. And when the Devours came from outside, the dragon continued, "We fought." Now saw war. War on a scale he could not imagine. Dragons fighting creatures of pure darkness. Galaxies being destroyed in single battles. The very fabric of reality tearing apart. The Devours were not Destroyed, only Delayed. They will come back. "Then why did you sleep?" asked. "Why not stay awake and ready?" The dragon made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We were too few, too tired. We needed help, so we made a covenant. We would sleep, and we would wait. Wait for a species worthy of inheriting our purpose. But why us? Why humans? The dragon's eyes burned brighter. Because when we asked if you wanted to inherit, you said yes. No other species has ever said yes. They were too careful, too wise, too afraid. The dragon leaned closer. Its face filled its entire vision. You are not careful. You are not wise. You are afraid, but you act anyway. This is exactly what we need. Back in the real world, something was happening to every human in the galaxy. On Earth, a young woman named was walking to work. She stopped in the middle of the street. Her hands were tingling. She looked down and saw light moving under her skin, like fire but not burning. On a space station near Mars, an old man named was playing with his. Suddenly, he felt strong, stronger than he had ever felt in his life. He lifted his chair with one finger, then stared at his hand in shock. On a colony ship heading to a new world, a teenager named Bay looked in a mirror. Her eyes were glowing. Not a lot, just a little, like stars had been placed behind them. Across the galaxy, millions of humans felt something change inside them. Something old, something powerful, something that had been sleeping in their blood for longer than they could imagine. In the void where floated, the dragon spoke again. You see, little one, humans are not what you think. Long ago, when the first Great War ended, some of the elder races did not want to fade away. They chose to be reborn, to start over, to become something new. His eyes went wide. Humans are the children of the elders. You carry their power in your blood. You always have. We have simply woken it up. What happens now? Asked. Now, the dragon said, and all the other dragons opened their eyes wider. Now you learn to fight. The DVOURERS are coming. They have been GTTING stronger on the other side. Soon they will break through. The dragon reached out one claw made of compressed starlight. And when they do, little inheritor, you will be ready. Took the claw. Power flowed into him. Power beyond anything he had ever imagined. And somewhere in the Galactic Council chamber, Ambassador felt it too. She looked at her hands. They were glowing. What have we done? Whispered in horror. Smiled. For the first time in her life, she was not afraid. We said yes, she answered, and we are going to save you all. 3 months had passed since the day humans changed. The galaxy was afraid. News feeds on every world talked about the same thing. Humans were different now. They had powers that should not exist, and no one knew what they would do with them. Sat in her small ship looking at her hands. Fire danced between her fingers. Not real fire, something else. Something that came from inside her. It did not burn, it did not hurt. It just was. 3 months ago, she had been a simple cargo pilot. She moved medicine and food from one colony to another. She was nobody special. Now she could make fire appear from nothing. I still do not understand it, she said to herself. Her ship computer beeped. A message was coming through. She pressed the button and saw a face she knew. It was her brother's twin named. Sister, he said. His eyes were worried. Are you watching the news? No, I stopped watching weeks ago. The Galactic Council is meeting. They want to put restrictions on humans. They are afraid of us. Laughed, but there was no joy in it. They should be afraid of the Devourers, not us. On Earth, things were changing fast. The old man who had discovered his strength was now helping build new homes for people who had lost theirs in earthquakes. He lifted walls that should have needed 10 men. He worked from morning until night and did not get tired. People gathered to watch him. Some were scared, some were amazed. How do you do it? A young boy asked him. Smiled and put down a wall he was carrying. I do not know, little one. I just feel strong, stronger than I have ever been. Are you a superhero now? Thought about this? No, he said finally. I am just a man who can help more than before, so I help." Not all humans used their new powers for good things. Some tried to use them for crime. But they found that other humans could stop them now. The police did not need guns anymore. Officers with powers could face criminals with powers. The world was finding a new balance. But outside Earth, things were not so balanced. Ambassador stood before the Galactic Council. She was alone. Every alien in the room was looking at her with fear or hate or both. "Humanity must be controlled," said. His crystal body pulsed with angry light. "You have become too dangerous." "We have become what we needed to become," replied. Her voice was calm. "The dragons did not wake up for fun. The devourers are coming. You all know this." "We do not know that the devourers even exist anymore," said another. This one was a tall being with 4 arms and skin. "The dragon wars were billions of years ago. Perhaps the devourers are dead." "They are not dead." Eyes flickered with light. It happened sometimes now. When she felt strong emotions, the power inside her showed itself. "The dragons showed us. The devourers have been growing stronger on the other side. They have been waiting, just like the dragons were waiting." "Even if this is true," said, "why should we trust humans to protect us? Your species is young, chaotic. You cannot even stop fighting each other." Smiled. "That is exactly why the dragons chose us." The room went quiet. "I do not understand," they said. "Neither did I at first." Walked forward. Every eye followed her. "The dragons told us something. They said they needed a species that was not careful, not wise, not afraid to act even when action was dangerous." She stopped in the center of the room. "Your species are old. You have learned to think before you act, to plan, to be safe. This is good. This is how you have survived for so long." She spread her hands. Fire danced on her palms, but it did not burn. "But when the devourers come, safe will not save you. Planning will not save you. You will need something else. You will need madness, courage, the willingness to jump into darkness without knowing what is on the other side." Her eyes met. "You will need humans." Back on the asteroid where everything had started, was learning. A dragon floated beside him. Not the biggest one he had seen, but still vast, still terrifying, still beautiful. "Focus," the dragon said. Its voice was in his mind. "Feel the energy inside you. It is part of you now. It always was." Closed his eyes. He could feel it. A fire in his chest. A light in his blood. Power that came from the elder races who had become human millions of years ago. "Now reach out. Touch the space around you." He reached with his mind. At first nothing happened. Then slowly he felt it, the fabric of reality, the threads that held the universe together. He could see them even with his eyes closed. "Good, now pull." Pulled. Space bent. Just a little. Just enough to move a rock from one side of the cave to the other without touching it. He opened his eyes. The rock was floating in front of him. "I did it," he whispered. "Yes," the dragon sounded pleased. "You are learning fast, faster than we expected. All of your kind are." Why are we learning so quickly?" The dragon was quiet for a moment. Then it spoke. "Because you need to. The first tier is coming. The first devourer will break through soon. And when it does, you must be ready." Looked at the floating rock. 3 months ago, he was just a man who read old symbols. Now he could bend reality with his mind. "Will we be ready?" he asked. The dragon's eyes burned bright. "We will find out," it said. "We will find out very soon." And somewhere, in the space between spaces, something dark and hungry pressed against the walls of reality. It had been waiting for billions of years. It was almost time to feed again. The alarm woke, song from a dream about his mother's cooking. He was out of his bed in seconds. Around him the ship was screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. People were running through the halls. "All crew to battle stations," said Captain over the speakers. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." ran to his post. He was a tactical officer on the human destroyer named Indomitable. For 6 months, they had been watching the border of known space, waiting. Everyone knew something was coming. The dragons had warned them. Now it was here. The bridge was chaos when he arrived. Captain stood in the center, calm in the storm. She was a small woman within her hair, but her eyes were sharp as knives. "Report," she said. "Something is breaking through," said, looking at his screens. The readings made no sense. "It is not normal space. It is like reality itself is tearing apart." The Devourer's voice was steady. "Send a message to all ships, prepare for combat." The fleet had been waiting near the Andromeda border, 50 ships from 12 different species. They had put aside their fears of humans because they knew what was coming. Together was the only way. "Here it comes," someone whispered. On the main screen, they all watched as the tier opened. It started small, a crack in nothing, a wound in space itself. Then it grew, bigger and bigger until it was the size of a moon. And something came through. Had seen pictures of devourers in the Dragon files. He had thought he was ready. He was not ready. The thing that came through was wrong. It was darkness given form. It was hunger made solid. Just looking at it made his head hurt. His brain could not understand what his eyes were seeing. It screamed, not with sound, with something else. The scream hit mind like a hammer. He grabbed his head and fell to his knees. Around him, others were doing the same. "Fire all weapons," shouted. She was the only one still standing. Blood was coming from her nose, but she did not wipe it away. The fleet attacked. Energy beams shot toward the Devourer from 50 ships. Missiles flew through space. The crystalline ships sang their songs of destruction. Nothing worked. The energy beams hit the Devourer and disappeared. Not reflected, not absorbed, just gone, like they had never existed. The missiles got close, then stopped working. Their power died. They floated in space like dead fish. "It is eating our attacks," realized. He forced himself back to his feet. "It feeds on energy, on matter, on everything." The Devourer moved toward them. It was slow. It did not need to be fast. It knew they could not hurt it. "Captain," said a young officer. Her voice was shaking. "What do we do?" Was quiet. She closed her eyes, could see her hands glowing. The power that all humans had now was flowing through her. "We give it something it cannot eat," she said. What happened next would never be able to describe properly. Reached out with her mind, not toward the Devourer, toward space itself, toward time itself. She grabbed hold of something that humans should not be able to touch. Around the Devourer, space began to shimmer. "What are you doing?" asked. "Buying time." Her voice was tight with strain. More blood came from her nose, her ears, her eyes. Literally. The Devourer stopped moving, not because it wanted to, because the space around it was now moving at a different speed. Inside that bubble, seconds passed. Outside, hours. "All ships," broadcast. Her voice reached every mind in the fleet. "Fall back, regroup. I cannot hold this forever." "Captain, you are killing yourself." "Then I die doing something useful." She opened her eyes. They were completely white now, no color at all. "Go, find the dragons, bring them here." The fleet pulled back, did not want to leave, but orders were orders. He ran to the escape pods with the rest of the crew. As his pod flew away from the Indomitable, he looked back. The ship was alone, a tiny thing facing impossible darkness. On the bridge, one woman held back a monster with nothing but her will. She held it for 6 hours. When the fleet returned, they did not come alone. The dragon was the most beautiful and terrible thing had ever seen. It was made of compressed. Its wings spread across space like the sails of a ship made by gods. Its eyes held the light of 1,000,000,000 suns. "Captain," the dragon's voice filled every mind. "You may let go now. You have done well, little inheritor." On the broken bridge of the Indomitable smiled. She was barely alive. Her body was broken from the strain, but she was smiling. "About time," she whispered. The dragon dove toward the devourer. What followed was not a battle. It was something beyond words. The dragon tore into the creature of darkness with claws of pure light. The devourer screamed, but this time the scream was pain, not hunger. They fought across dimensions, through layers of reality that humans could not see. Whenever the devourer tried to run, the dragon pulled it back. Finally, the dragon opened its mouth. Light gathered there, light older than stars, light from the first moment of creation. The dragon breathed. The explosion could be seen from 3 galaxies away. When the light faded, the devourer was gone. Not dead, would learn later. Devourers could not truly die, but destroyed enough to need billions of years to reform. The dragon floated where the battle had been. It looked tired. Even beings of pure could get tired, it seemed. "The first one is dealt with," the dragon said, "but there will be more, many more." Medical ships were rushing to the Indomitable. They found Captain barely breathing. The doctors said she should be dead. But she was human, and humans, it seemed, were harder to kill than anyone had thought. "Will she be okay?" asked. "She will live." The dragon's voice was gentle. "And she will be stronger. What she did today, holding time itself, that is a power we thought lost when the elder races faded. She has brought it back." Looked at the destroyed space where the tear had been. Already, reality was healing itself. "How many more devourers are there?" The dragon was quiet for a long moment. "Millions," it said finally. "But do not lose hope, little one. Today, one human held back the darkness long enough for help to arrive. Imagine what millions of humans can do." Thought about this. He thought about Captain, bleeding and broken but never giving up. He thought about his crew, afraid but fighting anyway. He thought about what it meant to be human. "We will find out," he said. "We will find out together." 1 year had passed since the first devourer came through. Han stood on a platform made of crystallized starlight, looking at something that should not exist. A fleet. Not just a human fleet, a fleet of everyone. Human ships flew next to dragon constructs. Crystal ships hummed beside battle cruisers. 100 species that had spent thousands of years fearing and fighting each other were now working together. Because they had to, because nothing else would save them. Ambassador Han, a voice filled her mind. She was used to it now. Dragons spoke directly to your thoughts. "The council is ready for you." Took a deep breath and walked toward the meeting hall. The Galactic Council looked very different these days. Humans sat at the center table now, not because they had forced their way in, not because they had fought for it, because the dragons had made clear that humans were the key to everything. Ambassador Han nodded to her as she entered. His crystal body no longer flickered with fear when he saw humans. Now it flickered with something like respect. "Thank you for coming." "Of course," she took her seat. "What is the situation?" 3 more tiers opened this week. Brought up a map of the galaxy. Red points marked where devourers had broken through. There were many red points. "We stopped them all, but we lost ships. Good people." "The price of survival," said an admiral. "We knew it would cost us." Looked at the map. She remembered when there had been only 1 red point. That first terrible day when Captain had held back a devourer with nothing but her will. Was alive, recovered now. She was teaching others how to touch time the way she had. Hundreds of humans could do it now, not as well as her but well enough. "The dragons say the attacks will get worse," said. "The devourers are testing us, learning our weaknesses. The real invasion has not started yet." Silence filled the room. "Then what do we do?" asked a small alien from a species did not know. "We cannot fight forever." "We do not have to fight forever," stood up. "We have to get stronger, fast. The dragons are teaching us things, powers we did not know we had. Every day, humans are learning to do things that were impossible a year ago." It is not just humans anymore. His voice was strange, almost proud. Some of our young ones are starting to show signs. The power the dragons woke in humanity, it is spreading. This was new, looked at him with surprise. Spreading. We think it was always there. Moved his crystal hand and light danced between his fingers. Not much, just a little, but light that he was creating, not reflecting. The elder races did not just become humans. They spread their essence across many species. We were all their children, we just forgot. The room was very quiet. The dragons knew, the admiral said slowly. That is why they did not just choose humans. They chose the species brave enough to say yes first, because once humans woke up, the rest of us would follow. Thought about this. 1 year ago, humans had been the young species, the new ones, the foolish children of the galaxy who did not know their place. Now they were the ones showing others the way. There is something else, said. The eldest dragon wants to speak with you, privately. After the meeting, went to a place that was not really a place, a void between dimensions where the dragons rested. The eldest dragon was waiting for her. It was vast beyond words. Looking at it made her feel like an ant looking at a mountain, but the eyes that looked back at her were kind. Little inheritor, the dragon's voice was warm, you have done well. We have done what we had to do. Yes, and soon you will have to do more. The dragon shifted, space bent around it. The devourers are preparing their true attack. Millions of them, they will come all at once. They want to end this quickly. Fear touched heart, but only touched, it did not stay. Can we stop them? I do not know, the dragon was honest. But I know this. You have surprised us, all of you, humans and the others. You are learning faster than any species ever has. You are working together in ways we did not think possible. The dragon lowered its great head until its eye was level with its face. And you have given us something we lost long ago, hope. Back in the real world, returned to her ship. She needed to think, to plan, to prepare for what was coming. On her way, she passed a window. Outside, she could see the training grounds. Young humans and young aliens practicing their new powers together. Fire and light and bent space dancing between them. She saw there the old man who had discovered his strength. He was teaching young crystals how to find their power. His laugh echoed even through the glass. She saw Bay, the teenager with glowing eyes. She was partnered with a young. They were learning to combine their abilities. When they worked together, they could create shields that nothing could break. And she saw the man who had started it all, the man who had said yes. He looked up and saw her watching. He smiled and waved. There was no regret in his face, no wish to take back what he had done. Waved back. Later, she visited him. They stood together on an observation deck, watching the stars. Do you ever think about it? She asked. That moment when you said yes. Was quiet for a moment. Every day, he said. I think about what would have happened if I had said no, if I had been afraid, if I had walked away. Would you change it? He turned to look at her. His eyes held light now. All human eyes did. The fire of the elder races, woken after millions of years of sleep. Never, his voice was firm. Not for anything. We are stronger now, all of us. And when the devourers come, we will be ready. You really believe that? Smiled. It was the smile of a man who had seen the impossible become possible, who had watched fear become courage and strangers become family. I believe in humans, he said. I believe in our chaos and our courage and our stupid, beautiful habit of saying yes to things we do not understand. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, darkness was gathering. Hunger was waiting. The greatest battle in the history of the universe was coming. The devourers think they know what they are facing, said. They remember the elder races. They remember the dragons. They think this will be the same war as before. He laughed softly. They have no idea what humans will do to them. And across the galaxy, in training grounds and on ships and in homes on 1,000 worlds, humans and their new allies prepared for war, not because they wanted to fight, but because they had said yes to something bigger than themselves. They had said yes to hope. They had said yes to the future. And they would never stop saying yes, no matter what came out of the darkness. That was what it meant to be human. That was why the dragons had chosen them. That was why they would win.